a year long back and forth with a sports book that stole $90,000 from me. I'm a little worried,
right?
Because I'm not playing on FanDuel right now.
Yeah,
I need to figure out how to get this money out of this sports book.
right.
And essentially said we don't have to pay you because we're not licensed.
We're not licensed there anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Welcome in. It's Behind the Lines, purifying sports betting, winning with SX. I'm Shane. Pace is here. Gosu joining for the grind in a little bit. Stay tuned for that. On today's show, Pace has a big legal W to tell us all about. First, how are you doing? How's your week?
It's been interesting. I mean, I think if you're a member of In Play Live, there's no sugarcoating that it's been a tough start to the football season.
Oh, yeah.
So I have come off of a very profitable weekend personally, but I hate saying that. I didn't sleep well and woke up feeling extremely guilty because I don't like it when those profits aren't shared with the group. People might be like, oh, how did he have a really profitable weekend when we didn't? There was a misclick involved.
Oh, a good misclick.
It was a very, very good and accidental misclick that was involved that came through for me. And separately of that, there's a couple things hockey related that I've really done well on that maybe have contradicted a call that's happened on stream, and I don't disagree with the call that happened on stream. It's just a matter of value comes in many different forms, and sometimes when one side of that value hits, I'll give you a really good example of something like that. Is you have an outlying line at one book on one side of a game that you really like, and then you kind of have to take that, and other books are pricing it completely different, which is what made that outlying line so appealing. But meanwhile, the way the other books are pricing the games themselves actually might have value back behind them because they've over handicapped something in a certain situation. So I have called a few of those, but I've also had to pull the trigger on a couple of those situations that maybe went against the stream, and in another world I would have lost and the team would have won in that spot. But separately of that, we did quite a bit of reflecting in the last couple of days here. I think we've got the team aligned and in a better place than we've ever been. I think we're driven. I think we're motivated, and I think we all know that where we're at right now simply is not acceptable. And what that means is, you can bang your head against the wall. You can talk about bad variance. You can talk about small sample size. You can talk about success or lack thereof. But at the end of the day, when changes happen, and they have happened in a big way, you have to adapt to succeed. And Shane, you know this. You've done this long enough. When it comes to sports betting, and you're sitting in a position where these changes have occurred and there is a period where adaptation needs to happen, that period can be rocky.
Oh, yeah.
And to come out the other end of it takes remarkable perseverance. It takes the best bettors in the world to be able to identify, reflect, and make those changes. And it takes a lot of passion. So there are certain sports for me where I think, Shane, you could list the sports. We don't need to play trivia here, where I'm probably not going to, dig my heels in and figure it out.
Right.
Where there are other sports where I will devote my life to digging my heels in and figuring it out. Right. So I'm really proud of some things that I've done this season already. But it, quite frankly, is not where it needs to be. So yeah, very productive discussions with some great members giving feedback this week, and then ultimately with the team going through the most granular levels of data possible to find a few nuggets and find a few gems, and also working on a couple of things that I would describe as different or new. In hopes to, I don't want to say turn the ship around. It's not like it's some big negative season. Matt, who's a pro that works with us, said, he had an amazing August and an amazing first 3 weeks of September. And since then, as we're sitting here, essentially about 4 weeks later from that, he said he's made $100. And I find that a lot of bettors won't be in the shoes where they're like, hey, I'm positive, but there's a blessing and there's a lesson in that. He's had a tough 4 weeks. Many of us have. you can sit there and go, hey, this is what I've learned. This is what I'm working on now. And I'm not down. I'm only down my time, but your time isn't a cost if you're learning and growing from those struggles within those last 4 weeks. So for every person, it's different, right? It can be lowering your volume. It can be locking in on one specific strategy. It can be leaving that sport behind and focusing on other areas. It can be switching to some more of a middle or arbitrage approach to certain situations, or maybe all situations. But the people that are built for this long term are the people that, like I said, they dig their heels in. And one of the things about sports betting, anything in life that you are the best in the world at, and I don't mean number one in the world, but in the subset that would put you in that top 1% or less, anything in the world that is where you genuinely stand. Not saying it, not bragging, not fucking throwing stacks of cash into a Lamborghini and making an Instagram video, actually being at the top of your game. You know that what you do is not for the faint of heart. It doesn't matter if it's betting or not. You know that what you do takes remarkable discipline, tremendous amounts of work, preparation, execution, mental game, the list goes on and on. And I posted this to my story actually last week. There's an infamous quote, and it's Simon Sinek talking about all different phases of military coming to a high school to recruit.
Yeah.
And
I saw this
the
one.
Navy goes out. The Navy goes out, they put on a great PowerPoint presentation, tell you why to join the Navy. The Army comes out, they put on a great PowerPoint presentation, they tell you why they want to join the Army. The Marines, same deal, right? Then the Navy SEALs come out there and there's no PowerPoint presentation. And the guy spends the entire time talking about why this program is not going to work out for them, why it's not right for them, why it's going to be so hard, why it's going to be so difficult, why they should choose one of the other programs. And he says, if you think you can prove me wrong, come find me at the back of the room. And that is precisely it. When you are sports betting in the trenches the way that we do, come find me at the back of the room, because it is not for everyone. And the people that succeed at this have to be remarkable at it, no matter the guidance that they're given. Will the guidance from a company, like In Play Live, that's helping people win at sports betting, will that be a part of their journey? Will that be their, something that they can fall back on and say, this was a real reason as to why I was successful and why I still am with them today, because they continue to provide value to me? Absolutely. But ultimately, it's the people and their work ethic and what they put into it that's going to yield the long-term results. And one of the biggest parts of that is taking those moments of struggle and figuring out how to succeed. Because if you simply throw the towel in, you're just proving that, long term this isn't for you.
Yeah, well, great, well said there. Great stuff. This just gets me back to the whole either you win or you learn, right? And so if you're not winning, we got to be learning. And I've had a pretty rough go myself since the beginning of September. Down into the negative. Probably one of my worst runs that I've personally had. And I had a rough September last September. So it's like I'm looking back, going like, is there something here? But I guess the thing that I'm taking away from it though is that I dove into my tracker. I did a good deep dive. I looked at what's working, what isn't, and what I'm going to do moving forward, and come up with a plan to sort of, pull myself out of this. And for me, that is going to mean a lower volume, at least for now, when it comes to the NFL. Not saying I'm not going to be betting the NFL, but my volume is coming way down. That's one thing for me that I'm going to be looking to implement, and have already started to implement, starting with this past weekend. But that's what it's all about. It is not easy. And then we never said it was going to be. It really is sort of working through it. And I'm looking at this time as an opportunity to sharpen the axe, go back and focus and really, dial in to what's working, eliminate what isn't, and, start the rebound.
Right. And I think, Shane, on that note, there's something that can differentiate someone like myself to maybe someone like you, maybe some other people that bet for a living, and maybe some people that are aspiring to. And I think the simplest term there is that I know how to beat my sportsbook. And some people really struggle with that concept. And there are situations based on the size of your bankroll that you can just absolutely catapult and explode your bankroll at the lower levels. So, if your bankroll's sitting around the 10 to 20,000 mark, there was an opportunity in the London game in the NFL where there was a timeout and there was a situation where if you were properly prepared, you could near double your bankroll if your bankroll was in those two specific sports books, near double it.
Right.
Now, when it comes to, being a sports bettor and you're like, hey, I'm listening and this is my tracker and I'm doing things right, there's no handbook that shows you when to absolutely unload. And that is something that I think tremendously can lack. And as someone who, can tremendously lack amongst bettors who are really good at what they do, but they're not the absolute best. And we were just talking about this on a team meeting, but a really good example of this is where you have a situation where you really like something and you place a bet on it, call it a quarter unit. And then the situation changes, but it gets better, even though the result hasn't been attained yet. Like, I don't know, let's say you need to cover -5.5 or whatever it is, and you're not covering in the current circumstance. You have a certain point of your bankroll in that spot. The situation can get better or worse, but the price can get better, implying better value despite the situation maybe not going exactly how you wanted it to so far.
Right.
And that sometimes means that what the call is and what your bankroll percentage that's currently deployed has to get more aggressive. And the thing is during downtimes, it's really hard to give people this type of advice. Because when you're saying like, hey, you know what, you got to be more aggressive here, that's precisely a situation that could lead to a real problem, number one. And number two, if you don't know how to identify those situations, you could just be spinning blind and end up in a tailspin that makes things worse. But when we're calling bets, it's funny because I can have a situation where the probability of winning that wager decreases, but the value increases. So the odds, proportionately speaking, get better. And, we're sitting there going, we have a quarter unit on this. The situation's gotten worse, but the value's gotten better. I'm adding. And the group isn't comfortable. It's like if you call a certain unit size, they just think it's won already and the sky's falling down if it doesn't win. I was going through my bets throughout the weekend and looking at the situations that I'm deploying my money. And it made me realize one of the fundamental differences with calling bets versus taking them is striking in those moments. And I can give you a bunch of examples that I did that. And when I give you those examples, a lot of them lost. And that's where the challenge occurs with guiding people's bankroll and unit sizing and calling bets where you're comfortable with it individually making that bet, but you're not comfortable calling something that people wouldn't be comfortable if it lost. And Matt gave a really good example today. He said, I took 3 separate 1 unit plus calls, 1 to 2 unit calls on Friday night. All of them lost. And he wanted those bets and can reflect on it and knows he wants those bets. So he was heading into the weekend like down $10,000 for his personal unit size.
Right.
No one got those bets with him. There were situations that were totally flawed or outlying, and he caught the books with their pants down and ended up getting broken.
Right.
Just really, really 3 really bad beats. He knows firsthand the group would not have been able to stomach what he did if he were to call 2 units on each of those or 1.5 units on each of those, and all 3 of them lost. He knows that they wouldn't have been able to stomach it, but he can sit there confidently and tell you why he took them and take them again in that exact same spot, having had those opportunities. So that led me to start thinking a lot more about this idea of why is it that I'm clicking more in this situation and not in this other one? And when you call bets, you do feel this responsibility of like, hey, I have a certain accountability to the group and their profit, which is right now not looking the best, right? But does the group recognize this is an opportunity to add? And would they be comfortable with us pushing people more in certain circumstances? I think the obvious answer when I word it this way is like, yes, but they don't know what it's like when you lose those. Or maybe they do. And the current infrastructure of what we call and how we call it is already too much to handle when they lose a bet like that. So all of a sudden you start stacking a few bets, and if those weren't to come through, how they would react. I really don't know the answer to that. But anyways, really interesting discussion that we had, and definitely had some really great opportunities over the last couple weeks here that I was able to deploy a little bit more, and that made me really realize some of the moments that things might not look great from a tracking standpoint when all of those opportunities get listed as equal. And here I am potentially deploying more.
Right. Yeah, I get that. That's a tricky balancing act for sure. Because not all ops are created equal, right? Some are, inevitably much better than others. Even if even if they're both positive EV wagers, and
right.
it's a tough spot to be in when you're calling it to a group. I don't envy you or any of the pros that are doing that, because that's a tough, that's a challenge, especially when as a community and as a group, everybody's going through a bit of a tough run. Not easy, and there's no easy answers here, and that's why really kind of digging in and having those tough conversations, and working on it as a group is so important. So we'll see how things go. I'm sure in a month from now we're going to be looking back and saying, wow, we learned some great lessons at that time. Speaking of winning, learning, you've got a big win that you're celebrating that we teased at the top of the show. But it also came with, I think, some significant learning and a long period of going through a bit of a legal battle. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so the last thing I want to do is talk about our struggles, and then talk about where I hit a big bet, and then talk about now getting paid by a book that didn't pay me. It's a bad parlay of Pace is doing this or that. But I think more than anything is two things. Just to wrap up the previous thought, is I recognize, for people that are on the inside, the outside, whatever, how difficult things have been, and we are working actively to improve them drastically. And the reason I said what I said there is because if you don't know how to extract value from your sportsbook separately of people making calls, the calls should be able to help you and guide you. You have to learn to extract that value. And if you can't, there is a serious problem, and you should reach out to me for help, period. Okay. That's number one. Number two, with this legal stuff, I want you guys to know, when it comes to the way I bet and where I bet, it can be dark from the standpoint of people stealing money from you. Now, I think some people take that too literally, to the point that they're not willing to go down these avenues. Rather, what you should do is go down these avenues learning from the mistakes that I have made. And in order to do that, that might mean you don't get paid by a sports book at some point in time. I can tell you firsthand that net of the stolen money, it has been well worth it. So there's people that'll be like, oh, it's too stressful, it's too difficult, I'm never doing that again, I'm never going down that path again. And it's like, great, that's smart. You learned when it came to that specific path, but the net, the whole is greater than the loss. So it is really nice to have a situation where a sportsbook stole money from you, where you get paid. And it's happened to me a couple of times. It's happened to me sometimes as simply as a demand letter being sent out where the sportsbook goes, oh shit, this isn't worth it. But in this particular case, there was actually, essentially a year-long back and forth with a sportsbook that stole $90,000 from me. And if you have a book balance, where you deposit a few $1,000, and in this case, I think I maybe deposited 2,000 or 3,000 3 or 4 times. So obviously they're like, oh shit, this guy's a good customer. Throws the money and he ends up losing it. So sometimes you can get a really big leash, and you're sitting there, looking at a screen with 90 grand on it. Like that is a lot of fucking money. I don't care what your level of wealth is. There's very few people in the world that don't look at that as life-changing money. I look at it a little differently. I go, this is awesome. I've done really well. I'm a little worried.
Right.
Because I'm not playing on FanDuel right now.
Yeah.
I need to figure out how to get this money out of this sportsbook.
Right.
And in this particular case, all signs pointed to reputability. Now, what is happening with the Curacao landscape is you've got some sports books that do some shady shit. And that I'm fine with, honestly. I don't like it, but I'm fine with it. And
you accept it.
Yeah. And I play their game, and I know that that's a part of the whole process. They are now taking the level of shadiness to a point where they're leaving Curacao because there is a fallback there. There is a legal system. And they're going to Juan, and the bad one is Costa Rica. So there are a couple reputable sports books that are licensed in Costa Rica, sx.bet being one of them. Okay. And I'm not saying that lightly. Bookmaker, largely reputable.
Yep.
They're out of Costa Rica. The benefit of operating out of Costa Rica is that you really can do whatever you want. Now that comes at the player's expense. They not only can I don't want to say they can, but there's really no recourse to them taking your deposit. Like, I've had it where they're like, hey, I'm not paying you. Here's your deposit back.
Oh.
They just steal all your money, right? That is fucking insane. So make sure your sportsbook is licensed in Curacao. Now, there's a foundation called SB GOC, SBS, something like that, SB GOC. They help people who have been wronged in Curacao, and they take you through a legal process of getting your funds back. And it is like a nonprofit company that just literally helps sports bettors. So, once they get involved in the way they handle it, you transfer a deed over to them. They take on the deed and the responsibility of everything, and they go to battle with you to get the money. And what's happening is, because that happens, the companies are leaving and going, oh, we're not there anymore. We don't have to, go through with the laws from that area.
Right.
Which is, it's nuts, right? But legally speaking, they were licensed at the time.
Yeah.
So I am referencing a book that left Curacao in this case.
Okay. But at the time you played on them and ran up the account to 90K, they were licensed in Curacao.
Correct.
Okay. And then they left Curacao.
Correct.
So this is all within the past year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And essentially said, we don't have to pay you because we're not licensed.
We're not licensed there anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there's more. There's like some of these sites they're folding up left, right, and center. But anyways, guys.
Yeah, these are all sort of fly by night sports books, right? Some of these, they pop up, they fold within a matter of 6 months sometimes.
But then if you look at the inner workings behind the scene, it'll be the same parent company.
Right. Yeah.
That, right. So yeah, anyways, make sure they're in Curacao, make sure you have fallback. And in this particular case, we did settle, was not paid the full amount. We dodged, a court case. We settled, and, the payment was substantial, and, couldn't be happier, with that particular result. Definitely inspired me. Like I said to you, Shane,
you didn't get the full 90K.
Nope.
Okay. But you got a portion of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Most of it. Yeah.
All right.
A lot of it arrived today, when I'm recording this. So it's really nice to have that come through. And, if anyone has any questions about this type of stuff, obviously you can reach out, but the foundation that I mentioned they're probably your best bet. You just go to them.
SB Grok.
No, it's let me find it here, Shane. I'll just make sure that I get it right.
Okay.
You know why I'm taking my time? Because I think it might be SB Cock, and I didn't want to say it. I was like, you know what? I just shouldn't say SB Cock. So,
you know what? When you find it, we'll post it in the comments. We'll post it in the comments under the show here, so everybody can go and
it's
find it.
SB Gawk, all capitals. If you Google SB Gawk Curacao, so SBGOK. They're the foundation that can help sports bettors with getting funds out of Curacao. So I'm sure we have a nickname for them going forward. But anyways, really positive story, and awesome to get some funds. Don't give up hope. Keep fighting the good fight when it comes to that kind of stuff. Stay the fuck away from Costa Rica.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Except SX, of course.
Bookmaker too. I mean, I would recommend to play a bookmaker. Absolutely. There are reputable operations out there, but those, like, when you see like anonymous crypto shady books out of Costa Rica, that they've set up to not pay their customers.
Yeah, right, exactly. So keep an eye out for those ones that you might not have heard of before. But yeah, bookmaker, highly reputable, and of course SX sponsor of the show. Okay, any other legal cases that you have on the go? Are you still fighting others, hoping to get some money?
Oh, I think 8.
You got 8 of these on the go?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Yeah, there's quite a few.
Wow. All right.
I think the difference, Shane, is some of them are like, this one might be 5,000 and then 6,000 and then 8,000 and then 4,000. Like, there's a lot of, right. This one was big.
This was significant. Yeah. That's a lot more. Yeah. 90K. Yeah. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm really happy for you that you got it. And hopefully, you got some positive results in some of those other cases you got going on, because nobody should be allowed to get away with this kind of shit. All right, time to hit the grind. Talking all things football. Gosu joining us now here in the house. John, a pretty decent week from you last week. I was just having a look, at least in the NFL. I didn't go back and look at the scores for college football, but NFL, I think you went 3-2, so not bad.
Yeah, solid week. Went 3-2 in both the NFL and college. So far in the NFL, we are 18-16 on the season. And in college, we are 21-19 on the season. So we got a little bit of a buffer there in each one. We're slightly profitable. It's the money line underdogs. If you're betting the underdogs and putting a little bit, about 25% of your wager on the underdogs, doing really well on those, winning outright. So 6-12 in the NFL, or 6-12, sorry, in college. Some of those should be hitting at like plus 400 or greater if you're taking those money lines on, like, the teams that are catching over double digits. And then in the NFL, we're 3-1 on underdog money lines. So again, those are going to make your ROI clip there. So
John,
pretty good.
What is that ROI? Do you have that?
I don't have the ROI. I just have the percentages. So we're winning about like 53 to 54% right now, which is pretty consistent with like my overall. But again, it's those big plus money, the long shots that kind of come through and bring you up. So it is about, off the top of my head, I'm going to say 7% to 8% ROI so far on the season for in both sports for ROI.
Very strong. Very strong.
Which is pretty
Great
good
stuff. Great stuff. Well, before we get to the picks for this week, I just want to mention that a lot of the stuff that John's about to call here, you can find it on SX Bet and Pace. Last week, we talked about their tournament, their parlay tournament, and John's talking about hitting his bets pretty at a pretty high rate there. So I got in on the parlay tournament, Pace. Honestly, dude, I made I think it was like $300 worth of parlays. Okay, and I'm already like in 45th place. I'm going to cash $170 if that tournament ends today. And, I shot up. I went from 0 to middle of the pack, just like that. It would have been nice if I had hit some of those parlays. Unfortunately, I didn't. But, we're talking about parlays here and we're just having some fun. So it's pretty cool stuff. Really happy to be participating in the tournament now. And there's still a lot of time left. I think it closes like November 9th. So that's like another 19 days. And pretty cool stuff happening over at SX. It's just a lot of fun to be able to win some money, even though my parlays didn't win.
Well, isn't that the case? November 6th it ends, Shane.
The 6th, okay.
for that parlay tournament, and people are listening because after the podcast last week, just explaining how you could, it's based on potential earnings.
Yeah.
The participation in the tournament has increased significantly. However, you're still in a position where you could go put $1 parlay out there that pays out $1,000, and you'd be like way up the leaderboard.
Yeah.
And you said you placed a few hundred. You could definitely do it a different way. So
yeah,
you place a few couple dollar bets, and you're going to be in line to win a little bit of money back in the tournament, which is really cool. Shane, my parlays have all come through.
No way.
As the late night crew can attest.
Come on.
Oh, dude, my account's booming, baby.
Wow. Look at that. Wow. All right. Well, you just got to take that money and reinvest it in more parlays so you'll shoot up that leaderboard.
Yes, yeah, perhaps. No,
Yeah.
I think I'm content with the level that I'm playing at.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Well, why don't we get to the picks here? John, what do you got for us in the world of college football?
Yeah, we'll run through a couple games real quick. The big marquee matchups of the week. So the first one, Ole Miss, our guy Lane Kiffin at Oklahoma. Oklahoma laying 4.5 there right now as a favorite. I like Oklahoma -4 in this game. I love Lane. I bet against Lane last week. It was it hurt my heart, but back to the well again, betting against him. This on the road, their team has, especially defensively, has really struggled. Oklahoma's offense has not been great, but Mateer been back a couple weeks now. He looked much better this past week at South Carolina than he did against Texas. Granted, that South Carolina squad heavily regressed since last year, but I think this tough environment there to play, kind of two teams that are pretty similarly power rated for me, but the home field there, and again, just how poor that Ole Miss defense has played on the road. We kind of also saw them kind of run out of gas a little bit last week against Georgia. I think we could see more of the same this week. So I like Oklahoma -4 to start it off in the first ranked matchup of the day. Another one game I want to talk about. I won't have an official bet for this one, but this would have been a much bigger game. I actually could have seen College Game Day on ESPN going there if Memphis had not lost outright to UAB as a 24-point favorite this past week. Memphis hosting South Florida. Still potentially a battle for who will make it to the college football playoff. I think the winner of the American Conference is a lot more most likely to go over probably who would come out of the Mountain West, which would be Boise State. So that's a pretty important game. Memphis is now an underdog. They used to be -3 against South Florida. They're now +3, +3.5. It's because Memphis's quarterback got hurt in the UAB game. I don't know his status, and they don't really have a chance to. They don't have to disclose injuries in college football the way they do in the NFL. So we just won't know probably if he's going to play at all until that game. So if he is going to play, so this is like something you just kind of watch the news, watch Twitter. If he's going to play, I would definitely take Memphis in this spot. But unknowing to that, we just can't make a choice. But if they just not lost that game to UAB, even without him, I still think it'd be a pick, or maybe they'd still be favored. So I think there's just a lot of value there if he's going to play.
That explains why they lost to You Are Bad. I was looking at that one, wondering what's going on here.
Yeah, you will again never bet against a team who just fired their coach, even if they're a 24-point underdog, as we saw in UCLA when they beat Penn State 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, good point.
And then Penn State fired their coach, and they should have beaten Iowa. It's just kind of a carousel of how that works, unless you're the Tennessee Titans. The next game I got to talk about, of course, Missouri at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt ranked in the top 10 for the first time since I think God created the earth. They are slight favorites again at home, -3, I think was the line. I do like Vandy in this game, but what I really like is the under in this game. That total, I believe, sitting at 51 last I checked. I'm going to go confirm that again because it was dropping. 52.5. You can still get, I like under 52.5. Missouri, one of the best run defenses in the nation, very good at defending the types of run blocking concepts that Vanderbilt likes to do. So the under 52.5 is a play for me in that game. I think that's going to get under 50 probably before this game starts. And this could be, I think this is going to be a game where both teams are really going to want to try to keep it on the ground and limit time of possession for the other team. Missouri maybe has, outside of Jeremiah Love, the best running back in the nation, and they should be able to run on Vanderbilt. So I think this is going to be just a grinder, a real clock chewer. So under 52.5 there in the Vandy game. Next game, definitely not a marquee matchup, but features one of our favorites to bet on live. I am laying it with Oregon this week, -34 at home against Wisconsin. Faded them, backed Rutgers last week, and was certainly punished by them, although I think I made probably 3 times more live betting on them than I did betting against them before the game started. But I am backing Oregon -34 this week. I think they're probably just going to be on that same war path, it seems, for the rest of the season after that loss. They want to get back to that Big Ten championship game, and they want to make sure that they're going to get home field if they don't get a seed in the college football playoff, because now this year the seeding is determined simply by ranking, right? and not the whole conference championship winner thing. So there's a world where they have one loss. That one loss keeps them out of the Big Ten championship game, but they could still be a top 4 team and get a bye. So I think that's probably what they're on the path to do. This Wisconsin team is an absolute dumpster fire. They're done. They're just done. That's all I can say. They're done.
Well, I joined you on some of those live bets on Oregon there. I don't tend to bet with you guys live too much on Saturdays, but I had an opportunity to sit down, and thankfully I was able to catch that one with you guys.
Best game of the week by far.
Yeah. All right. What's up next?
So next I'm taking NC State, North Carolina State plus 7.5. I think this line should be under 5. It should be like 4.5. Really like this spot for them. This is just too many points in this game against Pitt. I don't think Pitt's very good. I don't know why they're favored by more than a touchdown. It's just also a good scheduling spot. I think NC State coming off of a bye in this one. I think these two teams are actually very, very similar. I think I have them power rated about the same. So just a really good spot on the schedule for that. It's not trash. It's not great. It's just a meh game I probably won't even have on, but I like that spot. The next one, I like Rice plus 10.5. But Rice is coming off a bye. They chew a lot of clock. They're running like a triple option style offense. They're playing at home against UConn, who just had a big like regional upset over Big Daddy Boston College. And a big emotional win for them. So I like Rice plus 10.5 in this one, anything double digits. I think they'll just keep this game close and really chew the clock out. And I don't think UConn's spending a lot of time practicing for this option attack in Rice, because it's not something they see from anybody else. So I like Rice plus 10.5. That's definitely a dumpster diver for sure. And then finally, I like in the late marquee matchup, Texas A&M at LSU. I like LSU plus 3, minus 115. You can get on the plus 3 right now. I took plus 2.5 at open. Actually surprised it went up. I don't think it stays. I think LSU gets bet at some point here. I think there's probably a lot of groups waiting to see if they can get 3.5 or 3 at minus 110. I think this game should be a pick, or even LSU should be slightly favored. That they have 2 losses on the road, one to Ole Miss, who's a top 10 team, and the other to Vandy, who's a top 10 team. I think a loss against Vandy in the past would obviously be a stain. This Vandy team is very good. Right. So I don't think there's any shame in that loss at all. Preseason, this line was 4.5 for LSU. I don't see why there should really be that much difference. They lost 2 games that they probably shouldn't have won anyway. So I'll take LSU against the undefeated Texas A&M here.
Right. Yeah, that loss to Vandy, maybe you thought one thing about LSU after it at that time, but now looking back, it's a very sort of different perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, LSU hasn't looked what people thought they were. Everybody got hyped after they beat Clemson, and then Clemson has turned out to be terrible. But their 2 losses are pretty excusable, and they lost by 1 score each one. So I think it's a pretty. LSU is still a really good team, and they have home field at night, and that place is probably the hardest place in college football to play. So bring it on.
All right, we moving over to the NFL now.
Yep, let's do it. So like some kind of nasty bets this week. I will personally be betting Tennessee plus 14.5, but I can't give that out. But just want people to know that I'll be doing it. Okay. The first pick I'm taking is the Browns Patriots under 40.5. The Browns going on the road to New England. I'm actually surprised this total's even in the 40s. I make it probably close to 38. So I like the under 40.5 in Cleveland. New England there. I would also look at the New England side, but I don't really want to lay the points, but maybe a good teaser spot for those interested. The next one I like, the New York Jets plus 7. What I'm going to do here is I'm waiting. I want to see if Tyrod Taylor is going to start, because Fields got benched in the last game. I think he is going to start based on what I've read. So I really like the Jets plus 7. With Tyrod in there. Tyrod is just a cover. That's what he does. He comes in, plays mediocre football, and covers big underdog spreads. So I like him plus 7 in that game against the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals should be favored by 7 against anybody.
Right.
The next one I like, a double dip in this game. The Steelers hosting the Packers in the Aaron Rodgers revenge game. You can get the Steelers plus 3.5 at minus 118 right now. Really like that. I think this game should be closer to a pick. I don't know how the Packers, who just keep barely beating like mediocre to bad teams, are favored by over a field goal in Pittsburgh in a primetime game. This is like, it almost feels too free. Like, it almost feels like the gambling gods are setting a trap here, because I just don't understand this number. It's Mike Tomlin as an underdog at home in prime time. It's crazy. So I love the plus 3.5 here. If you can't get the plus 3.5 by the time this comes out, plus 3 is fine as well.
Yeah, I see plus 3 as the main line right now.
Yeah. FanDuel and DraftKings both have plus 3.5 at under minus 120. Definitely worth paying that to win those number of bets. That the team that is favored by 3 wins by exactly 3, probably about 10% of the time. So paying just 10 cents to get that plus 3.5 versus the rest of the market is very good. So you definitely want that if you can get it. And then double dipping on that game, I like the under 45 flat in that game. That total's really high to me. I think the Steelers game totals have been a little higher than they should have, because they played a lot of teams with bad defenses. Like, right, they just played the Bengals.
Yeah.
They played some other teams earlier in the season. We're just blanking, but I think it's a little inflated. And then the Packers defense is the best part of their team. Their offense has struggled against some of these mediocre teams, and their defense has really come on, especially early in the game. So I like the under 45 there. I think that's a lot of points for an outdoor game in Pittsburgh in prime time.
All right, maybe a little same game parlay if you're
if always. Yeah, if you have those correlating bets like that, I definitely recommend doing that. It's not just rec; it's actually profitable. And then the final pick on Monday night, Kansas City hosting Washington. I'm taking under 48.5. I have to think it's going to be Mariota after seeing Daniels come off holding that hamstring. Hamstrings don't just heal overnight. So I have to think this is Mariota. Chiefs defense is still really good. I mean, they just blanked Vegas. I know Vegas sucks, but that defense has played really well. And under 48.5, I mean, that's just, again, for a primetime game in the Midwest in October, that's just a really high number, especially the backup quarterback on the road. So I'll take that under 48.5.
Yeah, I imagine that if he gets announced the starter, we're going to see that total come down.
Yeah, I would think so. It already has. I think it was like, look ahead was like 50.5. So it's already come down a little, but I just, even with Daniels, I would still bet the under 48.5. So I really don't even care.
Even
I feel
with
like
you would still be on the under.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a cherry on top here. So
okay.
That's why I like it. To me, there's only upside. I mean, maybe I get a worse number if he's announced in somehow, but he's not going to be 100%. Whenever you have these guys and it's questionable whether they're going to play or something, I always price in, what are they if they're 70 or 80%? Like, there's still something that's missing there. And so I'm happy to take the number and just hope.
All right. CFL, maybe? Anything?
No CFL for me this week. I actually don't even have lines available to me right now on any book. I've just checked them all. So I know there's a lot of playoff seeding stuff, so everybody knows who's in. I know that Winnipeg plays Montreal, and I think that determines seeding and potentially a crossover, but because Calgary is playing Edmonton, who's eliminated. So you have BC and Calgary both playing teams, because BC's playing Saskatchewan, who are playing for nothing. Though Edmonton would still try to win. I think Saskatchewan, I have to assume, is sitting everybody again. So it's looking like Winnipeg is going to cross over, but I'm just personally staying away. I will say, on the season, just to recap, in the CFL, we were 22-16. That's 57.9% against the spread. And we hit 12 out of 20 underdog money lines outright. So a very, very, very profitable preseason CFL.
Yeah. Bang, bang.
Our pregame CFL season. So I typically, that's about what I do. And just for reference, I only give out a certain number of picks every week, but model blindly betting was 40 and 29, which is 58%. So even if I just bet every single game, I would win at basically about the same clip that I did there, and just the select few, because it just kind of shows you how poorly handicapped this
Whoa.
league is.
We need to have the Gosu model available to everybody, and we'll just bet the model blindly next year.
Yeah, heavy subscription fee.
Yeah. There we go. A quick question: how is our Calgary to win the Super Cup bet looking?
I don't know what the current odds are, but I have to assume that they're much worse than what we betted at, right? Pace, didn't we bet it
they're
at
sitting around 6.
We bet it at I have plus 1,800 is what I have.
Yeah,
So
I think I got it at like 10 or 11 to 1 when I got in, because I was a little later.
I have some 18.0 and some 21 or 22.0.
Okay. And now it's
way
around 6.
And they've played 2 beautiful games in a row, John. So I'm not out on them. I do think that they're number one. I think there's great value on Montreal to win the Grey Cup right now.
Okay.
Number 2, I think Montreal is head and shoulders by far the best team in the CFL. So I am hoping for Montreal to be playing Calgary in the final. And I will be cheering for Calgary in that game probably. But at the same time, it could definitely be BC against Montreal. Of course, if Alexander gets hurt, I mean, Montreal's going to be, I don't think they have a chance, but I don't mind Montreal as a future as well right now on the Grey Cup.
All right. Good to know. All right. Awesome stuff. I think that's that just about wraps it up for this week. Again, you can find a lot of those bets that John's calling out over at SX. You'll probably get the best juice over there too. So head over there to check it out. All right. I think that just about does it then. So John,
Shane,
Pace, sports bettors tuning in from around the world. Till next week. Keep eating the books.
Did you fire me?
What do you mean?
Did you fire me?
Did I fire you?
Yeah.
Why would I fire you?
I don't know. I think I have a teaser for us here.
The teaser. Oh my goodness, the teaser. Jeez. Wow. Totally forgot about the teaser. Should I fire you for your teasers? How was your teaser last week?
As we're recording, we're one leg in Monday Night Football pending.
Right. So, you have Tampa Bay. You have Tampa Bay plus.
I'm hoping to shoot Tampa Bay plus 11. Yeah. That line has moved quite a bit. So people are betting Detroit here. Hopefully Tampa can cover. But next week, I think there's a great teaser spot. There's 2 games I absolutely love. The first one's going to be tricky. You can get on some books right now the 49ers plus 7.5 for a teaser. I cannot even express to you in words how much I love this leg.
Okay.
The second leg I'm adding with it is going to be the Patriots against the Browns. Patriots minus 1.5.
Minus 1.5. Yeah. Okay, awesome. What is I just got to grab a quick look at that San Francisco game. Playing Houston on the road, you'll get them to plus 7?
Plus 7.5.
7.5.
You want that 1.5.
Right.
If you can't get to 7.5, which I think might be the case, then there might be another leg out there that you can find. But worst case, I mean, I'd take plus 7 flat, honestly.
All right, love it. Okay, good stuff. Pace not fired, but we'll see how this one goes. Okay. You're in the hot seat there. All right. Good stuff. Yeah. All right, guys. Pace, John, sports bettors around the world. Till next week. Keep eating those bucks.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Lines. Remember to like, download, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Have a betting story or want to be featured on our podcast? Drop a note in the comments below. And if you want to join in Play Live, use promo code Behind the Line.